Namaste, welcome to day 1, week 1 of your spinal mobility program. In this first video, we're simply going to focus on the 5 basic movements that your spine makes. We're going to look at them passively and also actively. So how to hold a specific yoga posture passively, and then also look for more range of motion and mobility in all of these 5 different movements. The 5 movements are our flexion, which is coming into fold. We have spinal extension, which is coming into back bending. We have our lateral flexion, which is side bending. We also have twists and our rotations. And finally, our axial extension, which is going to be looked at very closely into our decompression and compression videos. But our extension, our axial extension, is when we elongate the spine. So let's get into our first spinal movement, which is our spinal flexion. We're going to focus on the passive posture first and then explore it actively. So our spinal flexion, one of the easiest ways we can get into it is from a standing forward fold. From here, I'd like for you to start with the knees bent. You can keep the feet about hip distance apart as you relax the crown of the head down. So a lot of people just assume right off the bat that they should be reaching for the toes, but they may look something like this. So if this is you at this moment, I want you to bend the knees, relax the belly onto the quads and inner thighs as you relax the crown of the head down. So just taking a few moments here as you find your breath, aiming for anywhere between 3 to 5 breaths. Attempt to keep the weight evenly between the front and the back part of the foot. Eventually you can look to straighten the legs a little bit more, but again, we don't want to create that separation between belly and the inner thighs and quads. So you can go for one more deep breath. Beautiful. You can place the hands onto the hips to gently bring yourself all the way back up. Now I'll see if we can do the same thing, but a little bit more actively. So this time, we'll come into an axial extension just for this specific movement. It is a really nice way to kind of go back and forth from flexion to axial extension. And reason I say that is I will specifically focus on decompression of the spine, which is our axial extension, decompressing, pulling the vertebrae of the spine apart, and then also the compression of the spine, squishing the vertebrae together. You can imagine that your spine is like your headphones with the cord. When you're done using your cord, you put it in your bag. When you take it out, it's all crumbled up. Sometimes you need to compress, and sometimes you need to elongate to completely unravel. So this is why decompression and compression are so important. Or in anatomical terms, flexion, squishing the spine, either in a fold or in a malasana position, or the elongation of the spine. So we're going to look at both of those very closely, but just for this one movement, let's focus on axial extension, just being mindful we don't tilt the pelvis forward, gazing up to the fingertips. Exhale, draw the arms off to the side. Exhale, exhale. I want you to sweep the floor if you can. If not, bend the knees until the fingertips touch the floor. Sweep. Bring the back part of the hand to the floor. Come all the way back up. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let's go for another 7 here. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Beautiful. So there we came into our axial extension and our flexion, which go really nice hand in hand. Great. Now let's focus on spinal extension, our back bending. We're going to focus on the passive held posture first, and then focus on bringing more of an active stretch and active drill to strengthen your low back in extension. So when you're ready, coming into what's called a Sphinx pose. So this posture will eventually help you for all the progressions of this posture. From here, our Sphinx, we eventually want to get into a Cobra position and then upward facing position, and that can kind of exaggerate all the way up to a wheel pose and all the other harder back bending postures. But we want to be able to master the basics first, and this is one of the basics that you should really focus on, which is your Sphinx. So here, keeping elbows directly underneath the shoulders, I want you to grip the fingertips to the mat as you pull your heart through your biceps and keeping your gaze straight forward. A lot of people will tilt their head back. Instead, think of lengthening through the spine. The crown of the head reaches straight up toward the ceiling. And deep breaths. You can also focus on pulling your navel toward the front of the mat. And here we're finding an even stretch throughout the spine. So we're stretching the low back, our lumbar spine, and we're also stretching the upper back and the thoracic spine. In our next video, we're going to focus on spinal articulation, which is adding more control to the vertebrae and all the way through the cervical, so the top part of the spine, the thoracic spine, which is just behind the rib cage, our lumbar spine, and then the sacrum. So again, just taking a few last breaths here. Beautiful. And you could take a moment onto the forearms, just allowing ourselves to rest for a moment. Coming into our active spinal extension. So here, I want you to place the fingertips just off to the side, and I'm really not trying to push as much as I can. They're just somewhat supporting the lift of my chest. So as I come up, I want to think of drawing my chest forward and up. So not just straight up and back, but forward, because I want to find a little bit more length through the spine as I come up. My toes are pressing deep into the mat. I'm finding that glute engagement. Let's aim for 10 here if we can. Inhale as you come up. Exhale down, and not pushing into the fingertips. Stay nice and light. Inhale. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Now, opposed to contrary belief, instead of coming straight into a folding position or flexion directly after extension, you can imagine that my spine is like a stick, and if I was to grab the stick and bend it one way and bend it completely in the opposite direction, and I would continue that over time, all I'm really doing is weakening the integrity of the spine. So rather than coming into flexion, extension, the best movement we can come into right after any back bend, whether they're deep or whether it's a light back bend, it's our twists and rotation. So we're going to start with a very simple rotation here. Just like I am now, we're going to start with our passive rotation, our passive twist, and then we'll see if we can find a more active twisting sensation. So when we're ready, I want you to take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. And just feeling comfortable here, as we come into any twist, it's important to remember to lengthen through the spine. So again, we're creating space through the spine. And rather than just reaching straight back, use your arm to create more length through the spine. So reaching as high up as you can, crown of the head reaches up, and we'll come out behind it so you can gaze past your right shoulder. And deep breaths here. Again, aiming for anywhere between 3 to 5 breaths. And you can come back to center. And we'll go to the other side. Same thing, right hand to the outside of our left knee. We'll take the left arm up, lengthen through the spine as you reach out behind you, and gaze past your left shoulder. We're always looking to twist from the base of the spine, one vertebrae at a time, all the way up to the cervical spine, the crown of the head, and up. Deep breaths. Also remember to breathe into the diaphragm. Breathe into your belly rather than breathing into the chest. Breathe into the belly, into the diaphragm. And slowly back to center. Great, now let's focus on our active rotations, our active twists. Now this twist specifically is going to focus a little bit more toward the upper back, the thoracic spine. So from here, I'd like for you to draw yourself into an all-fours position. We'll start by drawing right leg back, and I want you to really focus on keeping this back leg nice and strong. So as we twist, we're going to have the tendency to drop that hip. I want you to keep the hip up and continue to press that right heel back to keep the strength and stability. You can take your left hand to the back of your neck, the back of the head. I want you to exhale as you drop your left elbow down to meet your wrist. Inhale as you twist up past the elbow. Exhale down. We'll go for 9. Inhale up. 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. You can come back into an all-fours position, swaying side to side. Good. And we'll continue to the other side. Left leg back, press through the back heel. We're also attempting to find a little bit of a stretch here, the abductor muscle of the knee that's down. So finding a little bit of a stretch here to the outer thigh. We'll take right hand to the back of the neck. Exhale as you drop. Inhale as you come up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. So for these last two spinal movements, we're going to focus on the active flexibility before getting into the passive. So both are great ways to enter your practice, whether you focus on active flexion first and then passive flexion, or if you rather focus on passive before entering active. Both are essential, but I like to practice especially these last two on active flexibility before getting into the passive posture. So when you're ready here, I want you to draw yourself into a straddle position. So the feet are a little bit wider apart, and I want you to draw the toes a little bit further off to the side. From here, you can take your right forearm onto your right knee. As you bend your right knee, left leg is nice and straight. Now the idea here is to create as much space between your left ankle and your left wrist, reaching off to the side. Now from here, we'll slowly draw the arms back into a star position. So drawing the arms out nice and wide, the feet are wide. Bend the left knee, straighten right leg as we come off to the left. Exhale as you come back. Inhale to the side, gazing underneath the left armpit. Let's go 4 more to each side. One more on each side. Beautiful. You can take the hands to the hips and maybe just walking the feet a little bit shorter in, a little bit narrower, and you can point the toes slightly in rather than out. So that way we find a little bit more activation of the abductor muscles. So from here, I want you to take your right arm, right hand down your right leg as you reach the left arm up. Rather than just reaching straight off to the side, focus on lengthening. Lengthen as much space as we can from that left ankle to the left wrist. Reach up to the ceiling and create as much space, especially along this left side body. Now you can maybe even just look like something like this, or if you can, a little bit deeper, sliding that hand down, gazing underneath the left armpit, and once again holding 3 to 5 breaths. And back up. Now if you found that was too difficult, maybe there's too much weight happening to the one side by straightening the arm, what you can do to adjust is just bend the elbow like what we did earlier in our twists and rotations. So I'll show both here. So I'm going to take left hand down the left leg. I'll take my right hand to the back of my head, but even before then, I'm going to try and really point my right elbow up to the ceiling. So again, if you have too much going on to the shoulder here, just take that right hand to the back of your neck. See if you can gaze past the elbow. Now create as much space from the elbow and the right ankle as possible. 5 breaths. 5, 4, 3, 2, if you can extend the arm, extend, and 1. Slowly back up. Beautiful. So that was our lateral flexion, or our side bending. Now we'll finish off with our last spinal movement, which is our axial rotation, lengthening through the spine. For this one, we'll focus on a nice simple seated posture. I'm going to choose my lotus posture, but you can come into a handful of different posture. If you feel better into heroes, you can also sit on top of a block in between your shins. You can also extend your legs out in front of you, either a little bit closer or spread out a little bit. So whichever feels best, but I'm going to do it from my lotus position. Now from here, I want you to take the hands to heart center. So again, we're going to focus on active axial extension. So actively elongating the spine, then we're going to passively elongate the spine. So when you're ready, hands to heart center, we're going to inhale as we draw the arms out behind us, and the same inhalation, we're going to draw the arms up and exhale down. Inhale back, up, exhale down, and continue. Let's go for 3 more. If you can, as a progression, gaze up to the fingertips as you draw the arms. 2 more. Last one. Beautiful. Now to focus on our passive axial extension. What I'd like for you to do here, just to make it a little bit easier for yourself, I want you to interlace the fingers, but I want you to keep the index pointed forward. You'll take your thumbs and bring it in between the index. And this is called our Kali Mudra, and a variation of the Kali Mudra is tucking the thumbs into the index. So drawing the shoulders forward, protracting the shoulders. From here, I want you to draw the arms straight up, biceps right by the ears, and you can keep your gaze forward.
Just focusing again on 3 to 5 deep breaths, lengthening through the spine. You can also imagine that your top 4 abdominals are reaching back down for the midline, and you're keeping stability. You're not just looking to stretch, you're looking for integrity through your spine. As if someone was to come to your side and try and push you over to the side, or push you back, or push you forward, you're resisting that. So looking for strength as much as we're looking for a stretch here. 3 more breaths. And you can draw the hands heart center. Well, I hope you enjoyed this first week and the first day of your spinal mobility program. Again, not to be confused with the advanced back bending program, which is going to come after this program, but this is going to be a really great way to enter that advanced back bending program. So we're going to go through all of the movements that we explored today, and by the end of these 5 weeks we're going to find a lot more progress within these specific movements, these specific spinal movements. So all of them are important in their own way, and we're going to really explore all of them at its fullest, not look for just a stretch into these types of movements, but again, more integrity into your range of motion and more control through the spine. So again, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought in my messaging box. Our next video is going to focus on a spinal articulation, which is going to give us a lot more control of the spine. And don't hesitate to ask any questions. I would love to help you guys more throughout these next 5 weeks and thereafter. So please feel free to message me and ask any questions about the spinal mobility program or any of the workouts and other programs that I'm offering in my playbook. That's it for now. I'll see you on day 2. Namaste.